We just started recording.
Oh, okay. Hi, Ashley. I'm here with Natalie and Sarah Johnson, class of 2014 and 2015, I think, right?
2016.
Ah, close enough. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we'll go into some questions. And you guys can ask questions the whole time. Just put it in the chat. But go ahead, guys.
Where do you go first? Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Natalie Johnson. I graduated from Notre Dame in 2018. So I'm almost 3 years out of college now. To give you my full story, I started playing at SG when I was in 5th grade. Back then, you could pretty much make the team if you could walk with both feet. It wasn't very competitive, so a lot has changed since then. But I had a really good group of girls that stuck with me through my whole time there. When I started out, I honestly had no intention of playing college volleyball. I just was playing the sport because I liked the sport. I liked playing with the team, and it kept me busy. And I think it wasn't around until like my sophomore year of high school that my coach at the time, which was Lisa Steenport, was like, hey, you should really consider playing college volleyball. Like, I think it would be an awesome path for you. You have what it takes. And I was still kind of on the fence because I wasn't sure if I wanted to play volleyball or if I wanted to have more of a fun college experience. But I decided to go through the process and just put some emails out. And that's kind of where it all began. I started talking to a few different schools. And Notre Dame reached out to me, and I honestly just was using it as practice for like practicing how to talk to coaches. And I decided just to visit just because I wanted to practice a college visit. And I got to campus and I absolutely like fell in love with it. And I got a glimpse of what playing college volleyball would be like. And I got to meet the girls and the coaches. And I got excited being on the campus. And like 2 days after my visit, I was like, okay, I'm locked in. I'm going to Notre Dame. This is what I want to do. Just getting a glimpse of like the girls and their competitive spirit and their love for the school, athletics and volleyball convinced me. And then I never looked back since then. So flash forward to freshman year, the coach that recruited me actually left. She was fired after my freshman year, so we had a new coach come in. So it was definitely interesting dealing with that transition. But I loved my new coach. He was all about like committing at the highest level and dedicating yourself to your sport and doing everything it takes to win it, succeed as a team. So that was kind of interesting having both perspectives. I had one coach that was more lackadaisical and another coach that was all about doing everything it takes to win. So I had kind of two different perspectives, but I had a great 4 years. We started out as a team that wasn't very good. We were like 6-24 my first 2 years. So really struggling, didn't see a lot of success. And then like through a tremendous amount of hard work, we kind of figured it out my junior and senior years and made it back to the ACC tournament, or not the ACC tournament. We don't have an ACC tournament, but we made it to the NCAA tournament my senior year. So saw lots of different environments, lots of different teams, lots of different skill sets, and had an awesome 4 years and an unbelievable experience. So
that was a really long answer. The question was just my journey.
Yeah, maybe like talk about yourself too. Favorite color, whatever you want.
Okay.
And my favorite color is yellow.
Noted.
So I started SG when I was, I think, probably 5th grade or 4th grade. I started because Natalie played. And so I was like, oh, this is fun. And I started on 12 Elite, where there's like a story that one of my friend's dads tells me, but like my feet didn't even reach the bottom. Like I was sitting on a bench and my feet wouldn't even reach the floor when I started playing. It was really small. So I sort of started as a libero, ended as a libero. And from 12 Roche to 18 Roche at SG, loved every single second of it. And then I didn't know I wanted to play college volleyball, but I thought I was like, oh yeah, maybe like D2, D3, I'll figure it out. And then people are like, no, like you can actually play Division I volleyball. So I looked at a few different schools, sent out all those emails, and fell in love with Northwestern, which is in the Big Ten Conference. Just like academically, athletically, it's the Big Ten is like the best conference in the nation. Our California people might say it's a Pac-12, but it's not. Serena knows that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a top 10 academic institution, so it was a perfect fit for me. Love the girls. I was recruited by a different coach, but once my new coach is amazing. I loved my 4 years. We have not been a winning team, but every year we say, like, we got better every year, whether or not the record always shows it. And so it was a great learning experience throughout my 4 years, just how to deal with everything, volleyball, teammates, but in the end I loved it. And my favorite color now is purple because I love Northwestern.
Oh, that's cheesy.
Had to tie that in there.
Oh my gosh. So both of you guys mentioned that you started playing volleyball around 5th grade. Did you guys ever experience burnout or go back and forth between if you wanted to play volleyball or if you didn't in the future?
Yeah. To be completely honest, when I was younger, volleyball and training was a lot different. Like, we clocked in for those 2 hours 2 times a week and clocked out for the first few years. So it wasn't as regimented and serious back then. And I loved every second of going into the gym. Up until then, I definitely think it's awesome having a balance, like commit to volleyball when you're in the gym, try your hardest, make sure that you're doing everything you can to be better and really lock in, but also take the time to get away from it and enjoy yourself. Also a little bit uniquely when I was so Sarah and I both, when we got towards the end of our club volleyball career, we both got hurt. We both tore ACLs, and that was like a super kind of rude awakening into life without volleyball. And that injury kind of fed my hunger and fed my desire to get back. So I kind of had a little break, and I realized, like, oh shoot, like right now where I am at in my life right now, volleyball is everything to me. And not being on the court and not being able to play with my teammates and just having to watch them get better, watch them compete was really, really tough. And it made me want to get back into it even more. So I think, yeah, some weeks you lag and aren't into it, but for the most part, like, I think when you're in those moments, like, take a step back, take a quick break, enjoy it, and then like get back into it and remember why you love it.
I think for me, there was like a time, I think I was 14, and I think that's when you go to high school. And I was like, I don't really want to play volleyball anymore. My life could be so much more fun. But I loved volleyball, and I just wanted like a little bit of a social life because one of my best friends on my team had quit volleyball forever. So I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I might quit volleyball. But, you know, everyone was like, don't quit volleyball. That's not what you should do. And I'm so glad I didn't. I think what Natalie said, like, going through injuries, you sort of realize how much you love the game, and you don't, I don't know, I just never wanted it to end. I loved my teammates too much. Even when volleyball got hard, I had all those people around me that never made me want to quit ever. And at SG, like, the coaches were so fun. I loved going into the gym. So there was never a reason for me to not want to continue.
Yeah, and going off of that real quick, like Sarah said, it's the people around you that make the experience. So like, if your teammates are kind of struggling or going through that mindset where they're not into it, like, be that person that like reaches out to them and makes them excited about it again. Like, we can all play roles in different ways. So like, you can be that person that gets your teammate excited about it if she's in a period of lagging. So there's lots of different ways that you can like invigorate that energy on your team in club and in college. But yeah, just be that person that ignites the fire under your teammates.
Now, Natalie, while you had your ACL injury, you obviously had to find other ways to ignite your team or possibly even like explore different roles. Do you maybe want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I was a senior in high school, senior in high school when I tore my ACL. So it was like I was already recruited, I was already committed to Notre Dame, and then I got hurt. So I didn't play at all my club's senior year. But I wanted to be in the gym with everyone. I wanted to play a role, just because that's who I am. So in practice and on the court, I was always, when I could, shiving balls, cheering, trying to be involved in as much as I could. Like, I think my mom was like, why do I need to like drive you to practice? Like, you don't need to go, you're not doing anything. And I was like, Mom, I want to be at practice. I want to be with all of them. If I get healed at the end, like, I want to say that I was a part of it for the whole journey. And I wanted to show them that I still cared about them and I still appreciated them and I wanted the best for all of them. But it just became more of like a coaching and analytical role. So it kind of taught me, in a weird way, it taught me how to see the game from a different perspective, not on the court, but on the sidelines, which I think is super helpful and was super helpful in college too. Off the court, I think I just dedicated myself more to school and found the time to, like, I was in AP Calc at the time. So I had more time to study that, which I honestly loved. And then I also honestly just had more time to hang out with friends too on the weekends, which was different than usual. And I loved that. And I saw a lot more of my friends. And then I guess I'll save this for another time. I'll touch on it later, but just playing like a different role on your team, not necessarily like being the 6 rotation player, but 3 rotation player. I'll go into that a little bit later though. I'll let Sarah answer.
She goes on for song. What is the question?
Just like how your role has kind of evolved on your team through injury.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, because weirdly, I think the Johnsons don't have very good knees. I've turned my ACL twice now.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. There's a girl on our soccer team who did the same thing. So
yeah, it's not an injury I would wish on anyone, but so similar to Natalie, I tore it senior year of high school. Probably had a similar experience. Like, I got to focus on different things. But definitely so I tore it the end of my junior year. I'm now a senior in college. So that time I didn't know whether I was going to be able to play again. I knew I didn't really want a 5th year. Just mentally, I was sort of done. I had given all my all for 3 years. And so I just wanted to heal as quickly as I could, get back on the court. And that time I just had to learn how to be the best teammate I could possibly be while going through something and rehabbing every single day. And although my teammates, it was spring season, so they were just sort of getting, they're going through the thick of it. They're working their butts off. We had like 6 a.m.s in the sand and it's raining and everyone's trying to, it's really hard. And I was on the sidelines for that whole time. And then start of season, I'm also on the sidelines. So I had to figure out, how can I show my teammates that I'm working just as hard to rehab to get back to the team, and I'm still just a member of the team? Because it could be easy to be like, I'm injured, I don't really need to be a part of this as much. But I think for me, it was really important to show the freshmen who are just coming in, and show just the whole team, like, I'm still here, I'm a leader on this team, I can help you in whatever way, I have eyes on the court. So yeah, I think just being that support system for your team and showing them that you're working just as hard as they are, but just in a slightly different way.
And you kind of touched on how you had to rehab every day. How is like the athletic training staff different in college than it is from high school? Because I know there's a lot more resources and they get on you a lot more about showing up to treatment and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So at SG and in high school we had an athletic trainer, but at SG, I don't think we had hardly any medical staff when I was there. I remember my teammates would get concussions and we would just sort of send them home. Like, I don't really know how that worked, and I think that's changed now, which is good. But the athletic training staff,
Gonna have to cut that out.
yeah.
Edit that out.
The athletic training staff is incredible in college. We have all the resources. We had pools that I would run on. We had, basically I went in every single day, and they demand that out of you if you want to get back and play, and they report to your coaches, so your coaches know how hard you're working. But I think just the amount of resources they have literally everything to make you better, and that's incredible. And you're also working alongside all the other athletes at Northwestern in one facility, which can be really motivating because everyone's, trying to get back, and there's a huge community of people working hard.
Yeah, and obviously you guys had a lot to fall back on because you guys took academics a lot more seriously than some college athletes. Can you maybe talk about the school side and how important that was for you amidst the volleyball and the injuries and everything?
Yeah, I think both of us definitely picked a school that was solid academically because that was important to us going into it. And I worked my butt off in college. Like, I stayed up super late doing homework almost every single night because that was important to me. The days are tough because, like, you wake up early in the morning, you go to all your classes, you go to practice, then we'd go eat dinner, and then like homework hour would start at like 9 p.m. So sometimes it'd be like 9 to 12, 1, 2, 3. But like, obviously before games and stuff, you have to get your rest because that's the most important. But there was days where you stay up late doing homework just because it wasn't getting good grades was important to me. And when you're in college, like, volleyball was your number one priority and that's what you're focused on. But then in the grand scheme of things, like, unless you go on to play after college, like, you got to get a job after college, you got to get out into the real world, and you have to have good grades to reflect that. And that was kind of my mindset the whole time. Like, volleyball is now, but like my whole life and what I have to do later, like, school matters and it's important. So you have to set aside the time to do that and to think about that. Luckily, like, you will have lots of great resources for athletics, like tutors, advisors that will help get you in the right classes, and help you set you up for success. So they really do give you all the resources that you need to succeed. But I definitely think it's important that you, like, make sure that's a priority too, for sure.
Yeah. For me, I think some people, when they're like high school athletes and plan to go to college to play, they're like, I don't really need to focus on my academics as much in high school because I'm just going to go to college for sports, which that's one way you can do it. For me, I focused a lot in high school on my APs. I went in with tons of credits, which all counted at my school. So then I ended up graduating in 3 years, which was great because now I'm getting my master's in 4. And I think, just to echo what Natalie said, you have to realize that there's something after college. And so I'm looking for a job right now, so hopefully it works. But I had to focus on the fact that college is not just about volleyball, and you also have to focus on academics for sure. But it's also the nature of the school I went to, where at Northwestern, if you don't work hard academically, it's going to be challenging. And I knew that, and that's what I wanted. So it was great. And she's at the tutors and advisors and everyone is supporting you through the entire process.
Natalie, how did you find time to, like, network or get career help while you're in college? Because you obviously knew you weren't planning to play professionally or anything. So a lot of collegiate athletes who actually are going to end up going into the workforce following college, they, like, have to make a plan.
Yeah. I feel like my experience is a little bit unique because while I was super committed to getting great grades and, like, preparing and doing well for the future, I also didn't devote a lot of time to the job hunt because I was so locked in. So I stayed on summer school for all of my summers, so I didn't have internships over the summer, whereas some people, rather than doing summer school, they hunt for internships their sophomore, junior, senior year. which helps sets them up for their future. I did summer school every year. And I think they have athlete career fairs that you can go to, and I went to some of those. They have regular career fairs, and I would definitely recommend going to those just so you kind of get a feel for what jobs are out there, what career paths that you might be interested in, just getting to talk to people, whether it's like alumni from the athletic alumni, or just people that are on campus for the career fairs. Like, talk to everyone you can to get a feel for it. Because when you're an athlete, you maybe don't get all that experience that the other students get. But that being said, because I was so focused on training in the summers and volleyball in the summers and doing everything I could for my sport, I honestly didn't start looking for my job until senior year spring, when volleyball was over, because it wasn't a priority for me necessarily until volleyball was done. Would I recommend that path for other people? Maybe not. I would definitely say make it more of a priority. But just where I was at and where my head only had room for volleyball during junior and senior years, because that was the most important thing in my life. But if that's your path, it worked out well for me. As soon as volleyball ended, I dove into the job search, and I searched from, volleyball season ends in December. I searched from December until I graduated, and I started my job in July. So I think there's two different ways to go. Definitely try and be proactive and talk to as many people as you can during your experience, but don't freak out if you don't end up doing that, because we're lucky volleyball is a fall sport, so that gives you time in the second semester to really dive into it your senior year. So two contradicting answers, but just don't freak out, don't stress out. Try and keep it a priority, but if you don't have time for it, that's all right too. It'll work out.
All right. And I don't know how to transition towards this, but Sarah, when we were doing our small talk earlier, before this whole interview thing started, you're talking about how you kind of wanted to have a social life in college. And I was just thinking so did that work out? Because obviously Northwestern is a top 10 public university. How did you find time to socialize?
Yeah, so it's definitely balance between volleyball, social life, academics, and I definitely prioritize volleyball and academics. So it wasn't great. But I think, I love my teammates so much, so my teammates became my social life. And I think when choosing a school, you have to make sure that you enjoy hanging out with those people every single day. I was able to join a sorority and ended up not being involved at all because I liked my teammates more. And so I would hang out with my teammates all the time. And so just making the little free time you have, the one off day or whatever, just trying to make the most of it. I don't know, I wouldn't say I was successful, but I tried to make the most of it.
Yeah, I feel like you had a little bit of fun though.
I had fun.
There's doses. Fall, you're locked in. Volleyball is 100% your life. Springtime, you have way more flexibility. For half the spring, you can only train for 8 hours a week or something, 2 hours. I forget what the exact times are, but for a certain part of the spring, you can only train so much. So you actually do have a fair amount of time to do things on the weekends, like Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. You're not really playing a lot of games. So use that time to explore other things and, get to know the campus, get to know other students, go to other sporting events. There's so much you can do in the springtime to make the most of your experience. But definitely in the fall, you're going to be locked into your sport and playing and thinking about volleyball all day, every day, 7 days a week. But it's kind of part of the deal.
Yeah, the fall is really busy. Did either of you guys get to go to your school's football games, or was your coach like mine and scheduled practices same day?
I think we were home for 2 or 3 football games a year, and we got to go to the first half of the football games as long as we sat down, and then we would have film during the second half for practice or something.
Yeah, my coach loved to schedule practice during games just to make sure we were not there. And also, Northwestern does this thing where our football team, volleyball and football can never play home, or they can never play on the same day or at home on the same day. So I was traveling for almost every single game. I think I went to like 3 my whole career, 4. I don't know.
Wow. That's more than I've been to. Let's see. Sarah, you played in the Big Ten with me. Do you maybe want to talk about travel in general? Because I know a lot of other conferences, it's like a Friday, Sunday thing, or you at least get a day off, but the Big Ten's a little bit different.
Yeah, so the Big Ten is Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday, or just Wednesday, Saturday. That was confusing, but we do play Wednesday games, which is sometimes the kicker in the middle of the week where you leave on a Tuesday, try and come back Wednesday night most of the time. We travel all over. Like the closest is for us. For you, I'm sure it's even harder because you're farther away from everything. So I can't even imagine what that's like. But I think the closest is Indiana or Illinois, which is maybe 3-hour drive away. And then we fly to Rutgers and Penn State and all those places that are Maryland, whatever, a little farther away. I mean, for us Californians, it's pretty funny to travel to Iowa and Nebraska and see all the cornfields and you're like, this is so much different. You can be on a bus ride for 3 hours and see only corn and silos, which I learned what they were in college. A silo is where they keep the grain, I think. And so that's fun. But travel, I mean, they try and make it work. It can be far away, but I don't know. I love travel. I thought the bus rides were so fun with all my teammates. Yeah, I feel like Serena, you could have given a better answer than that.
Well, I was on a bus with Kendall White for like 3-4 hours to Rutgers. Let me tell you, it doesn't get quiet.
No,
I think your bus rides are probably more fun than mine.
That's really funny.
Natalie, after 4 years and I don't know, what was traveling like for you? Like, do you have any advice to the girls of how to get their schoolwork in or how to even stay focused on the road when everything's like so centered on volleyball and film and it's like a business trip?
Yeah. You just have to get really good at doing your schoolwork on the bus, on the plane, and in your hotel room. And I'm going to say something super controversial and say that I actually was able to do more schoolwork during season than out of season because you can't do anything else besides play volleyball and school. And I honestly used school as a distraction to take my mind off volleyball sometimes because during season, like when you're not in practice, you're thinking about practice. When you're not in a game, you're thinking about all the mistakes you made in the game or what could have gone better. And I would just dive into schoolwork, honestly, to take my mind off of all of that. But I think you can definitely use the road trips, the downtime at the hotel to do your schoolwork because there's really nothing else to do. So long story short, I think that you have plenty of time to get your work done. It's just a matter of like actually taking the time and doing it. So while you think there's a shortage of time, there's not. Like if you set your mind to it, you'll find plenty of time throughout your day. It's just actually doing it.
Yeah. Do you guys have any road trip stories? Anything funny ever happen?
Why are you pointing to me?
Because I know you have a really good one.
What?
The bus that broke down.
Oh, this is a good one. I forgot about that. So it was this year, we were coming back from Indiana. And so once again, we're in the middle of literally nowhere. We're probably an hour and a half outside of Indiana. So we probably have another 2 hours to go to Chicago. And our bus just breaks down. And it looks like we're in like Area 51. No one knows where we are. We're in a parking lot. Like, what is going on? And so it's hot. It's like middle of September. And we get, like, people are trying to call a new bus to come get us. And I think at this point it's like 12:30 a.m. or maybe 1. And finally we find out that the like closest bus to us is like 2 hours away, 2 or 3 hours away. And we can't walk to a hotel or anything because it's too far away. We can't Uber because our cell service doesn't work. And there's not going to be enough Ubers to take all of us and all our suitcases and everything. So basically we end up waiting in the bus with no air conditioning for 2.5 hours. We like are dancing, we're playing all the random like camp games you can think of. It was actually my favorite road trip ever. It was so fun. I was like, oh my gosh, all this fun time. And then we finally get picked up at like 3:15 or something. And our new bus driver is blasting jazz music. She won't turn it down. We can't talk to each other because if we were to talk, we'd have to yell. And this bus driver decides to stop at a White Castle, which is like a fast food joint. And so we're coming back to Chicago, and we're all on the bus, and we're like, wait, our bus driver is now in this fast food joint. We can see her in a booth. What is going on? Eventually she comes back. And I think we made it back to school at, I think 5 a.m. once this was all over. And yeah, so we're like, should we just, because we practice in the morning, so we're like, should we just start practice now, or what are you going to do? But I actually had a lot of fun, even though it was literally terrible.
So the bus driver like actually sat down and had a meal, like took her break.
Decided.
She said she was like talking to a bunch of her friends in there for a while too.
Yeah,
like,
I think those were her friends in the story. And she's like, well, I don't want to be driving these girls anymore, so see ya. It was funny.
All right, Natalie, what you got?
I definitely can't top that. Except one time we were on a road trip and our bus driver pulled over really fast and sprinted to the back and threw up on his way back to the bathroom because I don't know what was going on.
It's disgusting.
So a bus driver tried to pull over really fast, puked in the middle of our bus. Girls were screaming, and then we just kept going like nothing had happened.
This is the content that people came on this Zoom call for.
Exactly. More stories. Weird teammate stories. Let's keep it going.
I have a teammate who I lived with my senior year. I'm sorry if anyone does this. I think it's weird. Who would crack her eggs, put them back in the carton, the cracked eggs, go through the whole carton over a few days or a few weeks, and still leave all the cracked eggshells in the carton for weeks. So I'd come in to make eggs a week later, and I'd pull out the eggs, and it'd be 12 cracked eggshells that were like rotting. And that's just not okay. That's the weirdest thing I've ever experienced from an at-home habit.
I don't have anything at the top of my head, and I don't know what's going on with that.
Okay, then. Going off of eggs.
Do that, I would stop now.
We actually have a Russian teammate, and she brought a pressure cooker into the locker room. And like a pressure cooker is used to like make actual food, right? But no, she just likes to boil her eggs in the pressure cooker and in the locker room for some reason. And it's like normal, like no one questions it. So
That's funny.
Yeah, teammates and eggs. What are your team cultures kind of like? Because Natalie, you mentioned the girl with the eggshells, and Sarah, you mentioned all of you guys singing on the bus to get through the 2.5 hours without the air conditioning. So I think there are some pretty interesting people.
Yeah.
So my team, Northwestern, is in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is extremely good, and so we're not consistently winning in the Big Ten. At least we win all the time in preseason. The moment we get to Big Tens, it can be really, really challenging. And so our culture has always been about growth and how can we get better every year, and even if like how can we be the best version of our team. And so our coach, when I came in, it was very senior heavy, and the seniors were dominant, and they thought that, you know, it was their show, and you're just do as the seniors are told. And then by the time I was a senior, our entire team practically felt like equals. Everyone was empowered to be their own leader, and that's a phrase my coach used. But just because he wanted the best out of every single person, and our team became really united because you're going through the battle every single day, and we wanted it to be like, at the end of the day, it's us versus them, and how can we stay united every single day even when things aren't going our way. And just part of being a growing program is, you have that underdog mentality, and you have to stay close, and you have to have that strong connection, or else it's going to be hard to beat the number 1, 2, 4, 7 team in the nation that the Big Ten plays every single day. So a lot of our team culture is just like, being a squad that's willing to battle together and having everyone sort of as equals and whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I kind of got to experience 2 very different team cultures. My freshman year was one led by seniors that had a countdown to the end of the season on the whiteboard, like the first day of preseason. Like, they did not like volleyball. They wanted to get out of it. And that's the tone they kind of set for the whole organization. So they didn't like it. They didn't buy in. So like, we felt weird buying in because we didn't want to be the try hard people, and the upper people were like, get me out of here. This sucks. So that was super weird because I think SG does a good job of like growing a culture of like hard work and commitment. And that's what I was used to. So it was kind of a weird awakening that first year of college. But then we had a coach transition, and those players left, and we kind of got a unique opportunity to grow a program from the ground up. So in a weird way, like my freshman, then incoming sophomore class got an opportunity to be the new leaders of the team. And that was an awesome experience because we were the ones building the new team culture with my team, like building that just like day in and day out mentality of working hard, dedicating at the highest level, doing what it takes to get the job done, and doing what it takes to be a good teammate. And then our core values were, I think, like teammates, like do everything for your teammates, support them, hold them accountable, be hard on them, but be supportive. So teammates, preparation, which is just like doing everything you can to prepare, whether that's scouting report, whether that's in the weight room, whether it's getting a good night's sleep, or just making good decisions. And then fighting, which is just like having a winning mentality, having courage to work hard, to make the hard choices, and just fighting with and alongside your teammates. So two very different mindsets and very different cultures. But what makes it really, really hard also makes it great. And I think we went through lots of hardships. Like I said, we were 6-24 my first 2 seasons. Like that's not an easy thing to go through, especially when you're doing like everything it can and putting your heart on the line and trying hard and failing. Like that's not easy. So the people around you are very important. So it's just like sticking to it day in, day out, and the results will come. So super different cultures, but learned a lot from both for sure. Good answer.
You talked about how one of your values is accountability. As one of your team's leaders, I think you said you were captain earlier. How did you find ways to hold each other accountable, especially when the older girls were so not about the program and your class was a lot different?
Yeah, I think my class sat down early on and we said, like, we're going to turn this thing around. We were just little freshmen, but we kind of just decided to, like, let's just do it. And I think there's different ways to lead your team and to different ways to lead. It doesn't always have to be vocal. It can just be through your actions. Like I wasn't always the most vocal person. And I would say in my freshman and sophomore years, I wasn't the one talking a lot, but I was the one that was working as hard as I possibly could and setting the tone. So you can just be that person that decides, like, I'm going to work my hardest every single day and raise the bar for the people around you. Because if you're working hard, the people around you notice and they feel bad slacking off. So be that person that makes people feel bad about them not trying hard. Like be that person that every day comes into practice, comes into the weight room, comes into the filled session, like doing everything you can to be better. And the people around you will just naturally try harder because they have to. You set the bar and they have to rise up to the level. So just be that person. And then eventually, like, you'll become a leader just through your actions. And as people like learn to respect you and learn to work as hard as you, like, you'll get more of a voice because people will start turning to you and listening to you and like watching what you do. So you'll kind of earn your voice if you're the one that's always working hard. And then you can start being the vocal one that holds people accountable because they'll respect you and they'll respect your work ethic.
All right, makes sense. We have a question from, oh, never mind. These weren't for you guys, just kidding. Sorry, I should probably read them. Let's take a switch to playing environments. Where was your guys' favorite places to play?
I think for me, one of the coolest places in the Big Ten is Nebraska. You're playing in front of 10,000, 8,000, 10,000 people, and all these people just want a good game of volleyball. They start the game with their like flashing lights, and you're just sort of overwhelmed. I remember freshman year, I was like, wow, this is college volleyball. Like, this is pretty cool to be in this arena. But I think I always loved the Purdue environment because it's really like close. All the fans are close to the court. So there's a lot more like talking and, you know, I don't know, it's sort of fun and loud, and it's a really fun environment. I remember playing at Penn State freshman year, and I had a knee brace. And because the fans are like pretty close to the court, they kept calling me like a robot, and they'd make all these jokes about my knee brace, which can be scary, but it was also super funny because just like being able to hear the crowd, I think can be fun. But I just like loud environments, and when there's like, you know, that all these people are just big fans of volleyball, and it's just fun to play in.
Well, I'm gonna have to say that I liked my home court the most because that's the answer that you give on recruiting trips. But I loved it. Like, we got to play in our big basketball arena, which was awesome. So like, we had a huge auditorium to play in, and we got to see, like, freshman year, no one came to our games, and we kind of got to see the audience grow and the attendance grow, which was awesome. And it's grown since I've left even more, just as the program has gotten better, which is cool. But like Sarah said, we also got to play at Purdue. Loved that environment. It was super loud, big band playing, which is always fun. And then definitely playing in the NCAA tournament. We lost the first round, but like still, like, just getting there and getting to play with a whole new set of nerves is super, super fun. Just because you get under the big lights, like in the big moment, and things change and your adrenaline is rushing. So that was an awesome experience that, you know, I think I'll definitely always remember.
Did you guys ever get to play in front of your families?
I only watched Natalie one time because, you know, it didn't work with my volleyball schedule and we were playing at the same time. My mom and dad came out to visit me a few times. They came to my senior night. There was the first game that I came back this year, my first, like, after my ACL surgery. My parents just happened to be at that game, and I didn't know I was going to go in because someone else ended up getting hurt, and that's why I went in. But my parents were there, and that was a super, super special moment because none of us expected it, and everyone was crying because I finally went in, and it was a cool moment. They were there for that. Oh.
What about you?
Yeah, my parents were like always. I was always lucky. They got to come out for like a few games a year, like at least one, maybe two or three. So they weren't at a lot of in-person games, but like they were watching them all online, and I'd call them after. And then I'd have some like I was lucky, so I had like 3 friends that went to Notre Dame with me from high school, so they would come to my games. So I got some friends that would come and show up, but yeah.
All right. Now, did you guys get homesick being so far away from home, or how did your parents take the move? Because I know my dad cried for literally like a year.
Yeah, so I have a twin brother and we're the oldest. So we were the first children to leave home, and there's 4 kids and 2 of us left the same year. So they kind of lost 50% of their family in 1 year. So I think it was probably harder on them than me, just because I found myself so busy with meeting new people and playing volleyball that I wasn't actually very homesick. I loved the new experience, and I loved being in the snow, and I loved traveling and seeing different things. But I kind of felt bad for the people that I left behind, like my sister and brother and parents, who I guess noticed probably our lack of presence more than I did. But I think Sarah was really sad.
When Natalie left, we had a graduation party for her, and I spent the entire time in my room crying because I was so sad. But when I left, I was pretty much fine. I think volleyball, playing a sport, is really nice because you form your friends who become your family within your first moments on campus. And so it's hard to be homesick when you're with your best friends every single day. And I was loving my experience, and so I didn't really get homesick. Yeah, I think I can't remember a lot of times where I was homesick because I was just, living in the moment and enjoying the people around me.
Yeah. And then just to give a different perspective, like I know there's definitely lots of people and lots of my teammates that definitely really struggled their freshman year, just because it was such a new environment. They weren't with their parents. So it's like a different structure, different world. And just know that it gets better. I think freshman year, first semester is the biggest, most difficult adjustment because you go right into season, but there's hope at the end of this tunnel. You'll get to that spring season, you'll have more time for yourself. So while freshman year, first semester might be tough, because I know it was tough for lots of my teammates, hold out hope, you'll get through it, and then spring will get better. So keep looking towards the light at the end of the tunnel if it's tough for you at the beginning.
During that first semester, what was particularly difficult for your teammates that you think maybe the younger girls wouldn't be able to foresee?
Do you have an answer to that one?
I think as freshmen, it can be hard to adjust to your new role on a team. College volleyball can be really hard, and you're away from family who usually in high school, they've been there every single day for you. Your parents would pick you up for practice, or, they'd be there literally every single day. And so you need to figure out who is supporting you every single day when you're competitive and you're competing with these people. So I think it's just a huge adjustment, and it just is a big change. So that can be really difficult. You're in an entirely new environment. You don't have your safe spaces that you always had at home. So I think just the huge change, and then, the newness of it all can be really hard.
You mentioned not having a safe space. What was your roommate situation like?
So my roommate was a golfer from Northwestern, and in the beginning we were so different, actually so different. She was almost too nice, which is gonna sound crazy, but when sometimes you have those days and you're just I just want to go to my room, I want to be quiet, go on Netflix, do whatever. And she was always bright-eyed and oh, hello, and want to ask all these questions. And I was just oh my gosh, I just want to be quiet right now. And so we started off a little rough in the beginning, but then we learned how to cope with each other. And now, right end of the story, we're now rooming together next year in Chicago, which is where we're going to move. So we came full circle. Now we're best friends, and it ended well.
Natalie, did you have a similar situation with your roommate? You can be honest, by the way, if it was off.
I lived, so at Notre Dame, all roommates are random. So I lived with an international girl, and we honestly didn't talk a lot. We didn't hang out ever really. We weren't very good friends, but she was super nice, super respectful. I woke up before her. I came back at super late, said hi, how's your day? She was like, good. I was like, good, mine too. And then I would say good night, and she'd say good night. And we did that every single day for the whole year. So I wasn't really super close with her. That being said, like, it was honestly okay because we weren't expected to run in the same circle or hang out. We just both did our own thing. Our room was quiet. We both got our rest. We both did our own thing throughout the day. So I think it was a fine experience. Like, I wasn't best friends with my roommate, but I don't think you need to be. So very different experience, but I think it all works out. It's you're learning how to deal with people. Like, lots of colleges just learning how to deal with different people and group projects or roommates. And so that was a great experience that I definitely learned from. And different experience, but it was good.
If you guys could go back at any point among your volleyball or college career and change something, what would it be?
I think I would go back to freshman or sophomore year, and just tell myself to work on my confidence and my mental health a little bit. I think no matter how much you train, no matter how much preparation you do, just like the mental side of it is so important. And I would tell myself freshman year, just have a voice in the gym. I think I was really, really, really scared freshman year of making a mistake, not being as good as someone who was before me, or, trying to fill these shoes rather than just having my own shoes. And, when there's legacy people in programs, it can be scary to be the new freshman and want to do what they've done in the past. But I think I just wish I had more confidence, just who I am as a player and being vocal and not being so scared. I think when people recruit, they recruit you because they want you to make an immediate impact, and you should go into freshman year with that mindset.
I would kind of a different takeaway, but if I could tell myself to enjoy myself a bit more and not think about volleyball 24/7, I would tell myself that. But if I went back, I don't think I would do anything differently. Junior and senior year, if for better or for worse, I would call myself, this is gonna sound bad, but brainwashed in a good way to commit to volleyball at the highest level and think about it every day and wake up early and go into the gym outside of practice and get my own reps in and practice my serving and pass more with my coach and have a bunch of privates. And if I could go back, I would tell myself take a chill pill, enjoy yourself. But then if I actually went back, I honestly think that I would make the same mistake again because it was what I loved and what I was committed to doing. So I guess enjoy the small moments when you can. It's all about balance. So if there's time to enjoy yourself and take the load off, definitely do it. But commit at the highest level, but find time to enjoy yourself because it'll be gone before you know it. And you'll look back on your 4 years and college is you want to remember and have a great college experience. And I definitely did. But just everything in moderation, I think.
So if you could tell 13 to 16-year-olds anything right now, given their situations, they probably don't have a volleyball at home or volleyball is their identity, what would you tell them to do during this time?
I think, back to my last point, I would just I think the unique part about this time right now is that there's never another opportunity to work so much on your mental game as there is now. You can't go into a gym right now and, touch balls, and maybe you can later, but I think it's just really important to figure out how you cope with stress and how you cope with pressure, and when you're under pressure, how do you handle it, and whether that's mindfulness or journaling or, doing anything you can to improve your mental health. I think that's really, really important. And for a 16-year-old, try and get your name out there with coaches for recruiting, like do whatever you can to be productive in this time. And I think also this is something that I think if done well, it can be really effective, but find a player that you look up to and see what they're doing. I know a lot of the people on the national team are sharing what they do, or if you can find a way to access film, I think you can find a lot of ways to stay productive right now.
I think that's a really good answer. But yeah, focus on different things. Like Sarah said, don't want to talk.
Or, I mean, sometimes if you're really stressed, if you're really stressed out, like maybe this is the break that can reignite your volleyball spirit. And you're like, I've had a break for 3 months and I'm going to come back and I'm going to just work my booty off because I've had that time off. And now I'm just going to go off on everyone because I've been doing my training and now I can play again.
I don't really have much else to add.
Yeah, you pretty much, that was a pretty wholesome answer right there. Well, any final words from either of you guys? Anything you want to say to the SG Elite girls?
I just know I loved my time at SG, and I think just cherish the memories and the teammates, because that's my favorite part about SG is just the girls. And leaving, and I've been out for 5 years now or whatever, I still just love those girls. And so right now, I guess that's what you can also focus on is just hanging out with, like, not you can't hang out with them.
From a safe distance.
Socially distance with your teammates if possible. No, but just cherish every memory you get. It's so special and it's such a special place. So every relationship you get is important.
Yeah, definitely. Just, yeah, soak it all up. Like Sarah said, like SG is a super unique family of like girls from all different places, like coaches, like all different types of coaches, but like it's one family and everyone does like really get along so well. And I love that. Like that's, I like learned kind of like what true teammates were like from SG, and like, and so much I think of who I became as a college player was just formed like at SG with like the coaches and the people around me. So like learn from them, grow from them. There's awesome coaches there. And you're learning so much and they're really teaching you like the best of the best there. So like embrace it and use it to fuel you for the future. And just know that like you guys are in a great spot. And they're doing everything they can to help you guys out. And like enjoy it. You'll never play as many games on a Saturday or Sunday in college. So like, honestly, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how I used to do it. Like you play a lot of volleyball on the weekends. Like in college, you play 2 games a weekend. You guys play a lot of volleyball. So enjoy it and know that you won't always have to do that forever, but enjoy it while you have it.
Well, thank you for joining us, Natalie and Sarah. Yeah, that felt pretty wholesome. Thanks for coming, guys.
Guys, sorry I rambled so much.
Oh, that was perfect. Perfect amount.
Thanks, Serena.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grant.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.